Good morning. Hello, hello. So I am going to be, once again, we'll do the celestial check-in and we'll check in with the planets and what they're doing, what signs they're in, what's happening in that way. And we'll continue to talk about embodiment. Oh, nice, nice. Hi, Chexie. How are you? How's Paco? If you stayed. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you? So we're going to talk about the celestial alignment, the planets. I do. How are you? I do. I tend to do reading. If you're talking about like tarot readings and stuff, I do those, but I do astrology readings as well. My astrological readings that I do are based in Krystic astrology, which is essentially true sidereal. So it's looking at the actual placement of the sky, where everything was placed in the sky at the time of your birth, not based on like anything other than the actual facts, what was where. So that's what I teach because I'm a truth seeker. I don't know if it's the Gen X thing, as a Gen Xer, you inherently just, out there distrusting things, us feral crew, right? Or if it's just my genetic makeup of like the personality, the type of person that I am, that I seek the truth. So I started, studying astrology. I studied moonology. I studied human design, gene keys, all of those things. And although they're slightly different and have different applications, human design, gene keys versus astrology, they have different purposes. But when we're looking at astrology in general, we have a variety of different astrological theories that you could apply to it. So right now, if you look at your newspaper and you pull up your horoscope, it'll tell you if you're born between this and this date, that your sun sign is this, and because your sun sign is that, then your personality is such. And that's not the point of astrology. It's not a personality test. It's a system that you can use to guide your life so that you are in harmony with the celestial bodies and the energy that's flowing at this time. So that's the point of it, is so you get into alignment and you start to be harmonious with the things around you, because we should have a harmonious relationship with Mother Gaia, the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? With all of it. So this is a way of looking at the true sky, and that's what true sidereal is. It looks at where exactly were the planets or are the planets at this time. And when I think about, the distortions, manipulations, and absolute illusions that are around us at this time, where information we're given is got a little bit of truth to it and then a bunch of distortions. So if they give us the little bit of truth, that astrology can be a tool that you can use to guide your life, but then give us a bunch of distortions in it, that it's about personality or that it's based on these dates that were frozen 2,000 years ago and we've been just living within that structure ever since. Or the distortions that they built into what each of the planets represents or what each of the signs represents. And some of those distortions were just to seed negativities in there. So in the sense of Virgo being highly critical, or Gemini being two-faced, or Leo being, egoic, Leo being very egoic, or Aries being, this rage monster, right? Like there's all of these things that get seeded in to the information that we have that is distorted. And the reason why we allow that distortion is because there's a little bit of truth that's packed in there. So astrology is a really great tool, but it's not meant to be a personality test or, you know, just give you information about your personality. It's meant to give you information about your soul stream, how you express yourself, what you carry from previous lifetimes in your soul, and how you are expressing that in this lifetime. Hi, Jojo. You know, it's way more than just that. And it's also looking at the energies and, like I said, that harmony between the planets and the stars and so on. So true sidereal. That's the way that, or that's the astrological format that I use. And I also use the reason why I call it Krystic astrology is because I take out the illusions and distortions from it. So the planets are the true way that they're supposed to be represented, and the signs are given their true light. So today we'll talk about what the celestial outlook or lineup is. Yesterday I did a bit where I talked about how the sun expresses and what the sun's all about. I might revisit that today, but I'm thinking about talking either the moon or rising, one of those two signs instead, so you can get an idea. Now, if you do want to check out your natal chart under True Sidereal, I strongly suggest using masteringthezodiac.com, all one word. They have a free True Sidereal chart creator. If you don't know your time of birth, you can still get your chart created. It's just that it will not give you your rising sign, because that changes every 1 to 2.5 hours, like depending on the size of the constellation. So, you know, something like trying to think of the size, like some of the constellations that are really big, like Gemini is the twins, right? And that constellation may be larger than, say, Sagittarius. Sagittarius may be a smaller constellation. So anyway, we'll talk about the celestial lineup. We'll talk about the rising. If you want to get your chart, go to masteringthezodiac.com. Great site for doing that. And like I said, if you don't know your time, you just won't get your rising. You can listen to the rising signs as I present them and what the rising sign indicates, and then apply that to you and determine, if you don't know the time of birth, which one would really relate to you. What else? Ooh. What else? And we'll talk about embodiment, because that's something that I'm really passionate about at these times. There we go. Passionate about at these times is embodiment, and we all should be, right? That's the whole, you don't get anywhere unless you actually live it, right? You have to actually take action on it. So we're going to talk about those things. I'll talk about some classes and courses and stuff that I have upcoming mingled in with that. But let's look at the celestial lineup first. If you're watching on any of the channels, obviously likes, comments, and shares and all of that help me. And also, unfortunately, TikTok likes gifts too. I like gifts, I do. But I'm here for the information sharing. I have a whole website you can go and check out, though, because I do have a company and I have a nonprofit too. Hi. It's all natural. No dyes. Haven't dyed my hair in I don't know how many years now. A lot of years. So there you go. All natural. Okay, so let's get to the celestial outlook for today and see what our planets are doing. We just experienced a transition in my area. It happened about 20 minutes ago, and that was Mars transitioned from the constellation of Ophiuchus into Sagittarius. So that's the significant change that happened today. So we have our sun in Ophiuchus still. It's in Ophiuchus until December 17th at almost midnight. We have, and that's the other thing about True Sidereal, now that I mentioned Ophiuchus. True Sidereal also remembers the 13th sign, the sign of Ophiuchus. So that's a good thing. Ooh, I like that. Nice tiara. Mercury is in Libra. Mars is in Sagittarius as of, like I said, 21 minutes ago. Jupiter is in Gemini, Saturn is in Aquarius, Uranus is in Taurus, Neptune is in Pisces, and Pluto is in Capricorn. So that's a beautiful lineup for Wednesday, December 10th. You're not tired because you're broken. You're tired because your fire hasn't had a direction. Today, the skies realign to show you exactly where to aim it. Okay, March 20th. I'll look. Hi, Mayuma. Hi, Jolene. So we stand inside a moment of sacred realignment. We have the Ophiuchus sun, which is the serpent bearer. This is that initiator energy and the purifying bridge between distortion and divine remembrance. You have the Leo moon, and this Leo moon, we're in Leo moon until tomorrow. Tomorrow's the third quarter Virgo, but we're still in Leo moon. So the sovereign flame of the heart, remember, it's radiant heart energy is what Leo signifies. So this is igniting that truth and radiant expression, right? It's about authenticity. That's what Leo is in, Leo wants to be authentic and to just shine. So Mars, as I said, has entered Sagittarius. That's the only other change. The sun remained the same. Moon is in the same sign. We have, like I said, Mercury still in Libra and Venus is still in Ophiuchus, which those ones are ones that change more frequently, same as Mars. So Venus, Mercury, and Mars are the shorter transition planets besides the sun and the moon. And the later planets would be like Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, for instance, are the very far out. And then you have your mid-range planets. So Mars entering into Sagittarius, the flame now takes direction, right? Because remember, Sagittarius is the arrow. So it's pointing and its aim is true, right? Because Sagittarius is about the truth. So it's aiming, it's directing you straight in. Oh, I love you. It's aiming you straight in the direction of what you're going after, right? Mars is that purpose-driven energy, and I'll talk about that in a little bit here. So your reaction becomes intention, your emotion becomes movement, and fire becomes mission. So Mars shifting into true sidereal Sagittarius marks a powerful turn in our collective, in the collective fire stream. So Sagittarius is the archer, the sign that not only ignites, but aims. It's fire and, like I said, in the aiming. Whereas Mars was in Scorpio, and that brought us that deep excavation and emotional intensity, and all of that was going on with Mars being in Scorpio. But as Mars shifts into Sagittarius, the flame lifts and it says, now aim higher. You've dug deep, now go higher. And this is the energy of that sacred pursuit, that vision-led movement and catalyzing momentum. We went through the rebirth and resurrection of Ophiuchus that happens in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, that resurrection energy, and now our aim is on point, right? We dug deep, we resurrected, and now we're aiming. So this is the energy of that sacred pursuit, the vision-led movement, and catalyzing momentum. So expect a surge in purpose-driven energy and focused desire to move, teach, explore, or expand, and releasing what's no longer aligned with your mission flame. You're going to be cutting out the bull crap, getting rid of that. Okay. So you have to be careful here. There is always a caution, and the caution is where you are in your journey. Right? So if you're still tangled in confusion, in ego, in performance, in trauma, and all of those things, Mars in Sagittarius could potentially scatter you or burn you out, because you might get into that like overdoing, overworking, overproducing, overhealing. Like I've got to do more. Or because you're not sure where you're aiming, you're like, I'm going here and I'm going here and I'm going here and I'm going there, and I'm going everywhere, right? So that's, that's the energy that Mars is bringing. Oh, I love you, sweetheart. So the key is intentioned ignition. So let spirit, not stress, be your fuel. So this is aligning with you and what actions would I take if I knew I was abundant and cared for, and like I didn't have to worry. If you did not have to have money, you didn't need money for anything, like everything was covered for your essential needs and stuff like that. So you had no needs, all your needs were met. What would you do? Because that's how you should move. You should move through your life as if you are abundant, that you have all your needs provided for, that money flows to you, you're never without, you are worthy and deserving, you're open to receiving, and that's the energy. That's the energy that you need to be in. Okay? I forgot I didn't even turn my heater on. No wonder why that's not as hot as I thought it should be. Oops. Oops. Okay, so this day calls for activation, clarity, and devotion to your path, right? Discipline is, what is it, Carol? Devotion to your highest frequency, right? So discipline is devotion to your highest frequency. That's a powerful thing to keep in mind, all right? So we want to be devoted to our path. So the Krystic triad, now remember, the Krystic triad is looking at the sun, the moon, and the rising. These are the three larger players in each individual's energetic expression. Whereas when we move into, and even Mercury and Venus, and Mars, they have more of an effect as well, but because it's different how they're applied to your life. But so our Krystic triad includes the sun in Ophiuchus, the moon in Leo, and the rising sign, which changes throughout the day. So you need to track or determine what the rising sign is of that day, and then move through it from there. So I'll talk more about that and how to calculate that. We'll see if I do a lesson on that. I know it's something that I'm going to include in the course in March, but maybe we'll see. Okay, so we got the sun in Ophiuchus, which is transmutation and sacred responsibility. Burn away the false and walk as the living flame. Okay, Ophiuchus is the resurrected. It's very purposeful, forward motion, right? It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes, and the phoenix has burned everything that isn't in alignment, and that phoenix is walking the path of their oversoul, right? They're embodied at that point. And Sagittarius says, this is the direction we're going in, and with truth, this is the direction. So we want to be following where Sagittarius is leading us. So we have the sun in Ophiuchus, we have the moon in Leo, so the daily triad, which is the divine alignment of the holy triad. So the moon is sovereign emotion, right? We've got Leo moon energy, so this is about authentic emotion. This is letting your heart speak, because Leo rules the heart. Not from your wounding, though. You want to do it from your remembrance. The rising sign, like I said, you could look at your rising sign for personal integration to see how I'm Aries rising. So I get up and go. And I do. I honestly do. I have my meditation in the morning, and, like I get up in the morning, I make my tea, and then I meditate. And then as soon as I'm done meditating, I'm grabbing my tea and I start work. If I, or I start doing my content creation or writing my books or preparing for classes and stuff like that. So I get up and go. That's the Aries energy, right? It's initiatory energy. So when people are talking about, like you're not learning the truth, there's all these distortions or lies or manipulation. we know that that means then that we need education that does teach the truth. So someone that has Aries rising, they're the initiator, they're the innovator. So they may be the one to start a school in that area, like I did, right? So when you look at that Aries rising, which is absolutely hilarious, because my sun is Ophiuchus, and that's where the sun is. My moon is Leo. That's where the moon is. And if I apply my rising, this is my makeup for today. But the way that I like to apply the rising, like I said, is determine what sign is rising, right? When, you know, in the morning on for you. And that would be different for each one of us. And then determine, as going through the signs, everyone to, you know, you'd know when it was transiting through the signs. Right. So anyway, I'll determine whether I'm going to teach that publicly here, or if I'm going to teach how to determine the rising sign for you. Or if I just leave it in my education that I'm doing in March. All right. So the question that is being asked of you today is, where is my sacred fire needed most today? We're not meant to live a carbon copy day after day, where you get up in the morning and you follow the exact same routines and patterns, and you finish your day the exact same way, and you get up and do it all over again. If you are living that way, you are living too much in structure. There's not enough flow. And that's definitely an example of stagnancy. There's no change. There's no evolution. There's no growth. Right? So, this is saying, send likes or comments when they like or have thoughts about your session that could spark more interaction. Asking viewers to send likes, and then it went away. That's what this little bar came up and said. Asking viewers, thank you for guiding me on my live on trying to do a little bit better. All right. Like, comment, share, please. That's what TikTok told me to say. And gift if you do wish to. My hair is tickling my nose. There's a little fragment of hair somewhere that keeps. There's a lot of hair everywhere is the problem. I think it's right there. I think it's that one. This one here is just reaching down and tickling. All right. Back to the live and what we were talking about. Okay. So let the Krystic guide of, you know, your Krystic triad guide your words, your steps, and your energy field. You are not watching the sky, you are becoming it. So you're moving through the day, utilizing the energies that are at play. The cognitive triad is the moon, Mercury, and Venus. So when we're looking at this, actually, no, the cognitive triad shouldn't be that. This is the psycho-emotional triad, is more the triad that looks at the moon and the sorry, I'm just getting myself backwards. So the cognitive triad is the sun, the moon, and Mercury, right? So we've got where the sun is the core energy. And then you have your emotions and your thoughts, because they work hand in hand, right? If you start to feel fear in your body because you sensed something in your environment that you weren't even thinking about, right? Within minutes or seconds, actually, within seconds, your brain's going to be going, oh my God, what is that? Right? Your brain's you're going to start thinking thoughts in alignment with the emotions that you're experiencing in your body. So they do go hand in hand. Same thing if you're thinking thoughts like, oh my God, what would happen if like there was like a big rabid dog around this corner, right? And then you're like, oh, you start to feel fear, right? Like you can amp up in your own mind, you can create fear through your thoughts. So the cognitive triad is working on that. And then again, the core energy of the sun. So we want to, check in on our beliefs, right? So where have you believed you must do or be more before you're worthy to act, right? I'm so glad I have moderators, and I'm so glad that things get muted. I love that somebody showed up on my live and told me to stop talking. That's all they did. They came in, entered my live, and told me in my live to stop talking. Hilarious. There. And that's how you deal with that. Blocking is a boundary. So there. Okay, so the second part of our cognitive triad is the choice point. So what opens, today if you act from your current embodiment. So if you're going to act from the embodied space of you, what are you opening up in your life? What are you creating for you? How are you changing the way that your life is being expressed at this moment? And then your new frame is fire doesn't wait to be flawless. It ignites because it remembers it's alive, which is reminding you, like, you don't have to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect, right? You just have to start. Trust me. Trust me. I know this. I've done so many different things for jobs and roles and careers and like all kinds of stuff in my lifetime. And, I worked as a nurse for 20 years and then retired from the industry, started my own company and started to guide people in how to navigate through their trauma and overcome mental health issues, because a lot of it is chemical, and the chemicals that I'm talking about are the food and, the water and stuff like that. But anyway, so I did this whole Bridge to Light phase 1, and for years, 4 years, in fact, that's what I did. I helped people overcome their shadow and I helped them navigate their traumas. And now I'm stepping into the state of teaching you how to embody the truth of who and what you are and how you're meant to live, and living in that embodiment. So hence Bridge to Light phase 2, which is starting January 9th. And if you're interested in that, definitely check it out on the website, sign up for a free call, and you can have all your questions answered about it. Okay, so we've got our psycho-emotional triad, and that's the body's wisdom. Now, this is the one that incorporates the moon. So the sun's not in this one. It's the moon, it's Mercury, and Venus. So the moon gives us our emotional landscape, Mercury gives us our thought and communication landscape, and then Venus comes in with relationships, desire, and attraction, right? So this is really important. Like Venus is really important in your receiving, right? In your attracting or magnetizing things to you. So this is important energy. When we're looking at this, we got 1, which is feel, and feel is the Leo moon. And this may stir emotion and warmth. Just let it. The heart must feel to lead, right? And you want to be following something that you're passionate about. You don't want to be just doing it because that's not embodiment. That's not alignment. 2, we want to breathe, and we're going to breathe into the center of our chest, right? We're going to want to let that fire settle into clarity, connect in with ourselves, connect with the heart energy. And as we sit there, allowing ourselves to connect to our heart energy, take 1 aligned step from that space, make 1 courageous expression. That's all you need to make the leap, right? It's just 1 little step. Right? Make the announcement, contact the person, sign up for the business, whatever it is, take the class. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're needing to take for that next step, take it, right? If you're like, who am I to own a company? Well, who was I to own a company? Right? I never owned a company before. I didn't know what I was doing. I just started doing it one day and I just never stopped. And that's part of it. Is I've got a lot of don't give up. I just keep going like the Energizer Bunny, right? But that's part of it is, and you learn as you go, right? You take classes that teach you some marketing things, or you take, but if you're in alignment, things align to you easily. So it doesn't even have to be that complicated. But you can always learn what you don't know, and the mistakes that you make along the way are just opportunities for you to learn or refine yourself. All right. So it's all we need is just 1 tiny step to make that leap. So we got our embodiment practice, right? Have a beautiful life, Adam Swanson. Thank you. Hello. All right, so we're going to put our hand on our chest, okay? Hand on your chest, right? And then we're going to put our right hand, this is my right hand, on our solar plexus, okay? So just below your rib cage. And put your left hand on your heart, okay? And you're just going to close your eyes for a moment. And I just want you to connect to that heart space. So just breathe. You can lengthen and deepen it a bit. But you're just breathing through the heart space, okay? And you can exhale through the solar plexus. In through that heart space. Out through the solar plexus. And then you're going to say aloud, I reclaim my sacred fire. I direct it with love. I lead from the truth within me. And just feel the heat. Let it rise. Let your body remember how to carry the flame. Okay, so just sit with that flame for a moment. And Adam, if you truly have no hands, you're going to engage with this by visualization alone. Breathing into your heart and out through your solar plexus, placing your awareness on these two parts of your body. You don't need your hands to touch. You don't need your hands to feel. And yeah. And I blocked him too. I just wanted to make sure I moved through that practice before doing that. So if you're resonating with this activity or this activation, this week's Krystic Mastery Circle is anchoring a right of solar sovereignty into the collective light body field. So you can message me or visit Anshara'El.com and join the Krystic Mastery Circle, and that's through the temple. Okay, I call it the temple. So just go to the temple gate. I'm going to be doing some changes on my menu items to make them, really maybe a little bit more clear, or give a little more direction on the website. Maybe, I don't know. I'll figure it out. So today you have you have a question for yourself, or you have this. I have this engagement for you. So what truth is rising in your heart today? I want you to look at that. And when whatever rises for that, so whatever truth is rising for you today, I want you to declare it, because your voice is a sacred flame. And if you're watching this on the replay, drop a fire in the comments. Even if you're not, drop a fire in the comments if you're ready to embody your life, right? Embody your flame. So the sky is not just to inform you. You can use it to transform you. Your sacred fire is rising. Aim it well. That's what Sagittarius. My voice is a sacred flame. It absolutely is. Absolutely. So we have another part of the live that I like, the embodiment stuff, right? Oh yes, I was going to talk about, give me a second here. Okay, so we did talk about the solar. We talked about the sun and the way that it comes out. And for those of you that weren't here yesterday, I'm just going to do a little bit of a recap. And we'll talk about what the sun means in Krystic astrology or true sidereal. So the sun reveals how the Oversoul radiates into embodied form. It is the core light, the guiding flame, the expression of identity, purpose, vitality, and the soul's chosen mode of shining in this lifetime. So I went through the 13 signs yesterday, talking about how each one of them expresses themselves. And who would be interested in hearing that again? I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you. Does anybody want to hear it? Hear what the sun is in those signs? Okay. I had a feeling you would, Carol. All right. And then maybe I'll talk about the rising sign as well. Okay. So sun in Aries, radiance expresses as ignition, courage, direct motion, and divine will. The Oversoul enters through pure fire and purpose. So Aries are very purpose driven, like a man with a mission, right? That's the Aries energy. Sun in Taurus, this radiance expresses as stability, embodiment, devotion to form, and sensual presence. The oversoul shines through patience and grounded mastery. The sun in Gemini, radiance expresses as curiosity, communication, idea exchange, and mental agility. The oversoul shines through connection and learning. Sun in Cancer, radiance expresses as emotional wisdom, nurturing, memory, and intuitive sensitivity. The Oversoul shines through protection and care. The sun in Leo, radiance expresses as confidence, creativity, leadership, and heart-centered expression. The Oversoul shines through sovereignty and joy. The sun in Virgo, radiance expresses as refinement, not perfectionism, healing, organization, and sacred service. The Oversoul shines through detail and devotion. What's devotion? Discipline is devotion to your highest form. Sun in Libra, radiance expresses as harmony, justice, beauty, and relational wisdom. The Oversoul shines through balance and diplomacy. Sun in Scorpio, radiance expresses as depth, transformation, power, and truth-seeking. The Oversoul shines through mystery and revelation. The sun in Ophiuchus, radiance expresses as regeneration, transmutation, and serpent fire awakening. The Oversoul shines through alchemical healing and remembrance. Sun in Sagittarius, radiance expresses as vision, exploration, freedom, and higher understanding. The Oversoul shines through truth and expansion. The sun in Capricorn, radiance expresses as mastery, discipline, structure, responsibility, and legacy. The Oversoul shines through achievement and stewardship. The sun in Aquarius, radiance expresses as innovation, community, unity, and forward thinking. The Oversoul shines through collective awakening. Sun in Pisces, radiance expresses as compassion, intuition, mysticism, and surrender. The Oversoul shines through unity, imagination, and spiritual flow. So those are our suns. The sun is the solar self. It represents your core identity, your purpose and vitality, the guiding flame of one's incarnation, the Oversoul's chosen expression style, and the primary way an individual radiates into the world. So there we go. Now, today, let's see, which one am I going to do? Rising. Rising it is. All right. So let's talk about the rising sign. I need a drink first, though. I should have ate before I started my live. I'm feeling a little peckish. So we have 12 gates in the 13th sign, and the 13th sign is Ophiuchus. The ascendant or rising sign reveals how the soul enters the world moment to moment. So it is the gate of incarnation through which the Oversoul steps into physical expression, where the sun is your radiance and the moon is your embodiment. The rising sign is your interface, your approach, your initiatory tone, and the impression that your field creates in the world. So if you don't know your rising sign, listen to these and see which one kind of sounds more like you. Okay. See what one comes up for you. If you don't know your true sidereal at all, go to Mastering the Zodiac and put your information in. If you know your birth time, then you can get your rising sign. If you don't, then you have to listen and determine which one sounds the most like you. And that would kind of give you, you'd be able to find a little bit of an approximation of what time you were born. But all right, so for me, I'm Sun in Ophiuchus, rising Aries, and Moon in Leo. We talked about that earlier. So rising in Aries enters the world through action, confidence, and forward-moving energy. Approaches life directly, boldly, and with instinctive clarity. Right? They're just on direction. They're on point, right? Man with a mission is Aries. Rising in Taurus enters the world steadily, calmly, and with grounded presence. They approach life through embodiment, patience, and relatability. Rising in Gemini. Gemini, this one enters the world with curiosity, conversation, and adaptability. Approaches life through communication, ideas, movement, and connection. So someone that is as a Gemini rising, their interactions are communicative. Like there's a transaction. There's either ideas, there's movement, there's stuff that's going on between Gemini and another person, right? Or they're at least moving through life. And it's interesting because my friend's like Gemini through the traditional, so she would be Taurus, but I wonder what her rising is because she has that, a lot of that energy of a rising in Gemini. This is go time. Rising in Cancer enters the world with intuitive sensitivity and emotional awareness. They approach life through care, attunement, and protective instincts. Rising in Leo enters the world with warmth, charisma, creativity, and confidence. Approaches life through expression, generosity, and heart-centered leadership. I completely see that with you, 100%. 100%. Rising in Virgo enters the world with discernment, precision, and quiet mastery, right? Virgo's about refinement, not perfection, because they've got perfection wrong. They put perfection in the world and speaking as it's this idea of like flawless, that there's something, there's some way that I could speak that would be perfect, right? Which that's not the case, right? Perfection is very subjective. What might be perfect to me might not be perfect to you. And they may be able to look at it and go, this is a perfect circle. Like it's like perfectly round, right? In measurement wise. But anyway, Virgo was not about perfection. Virgo was about mastery, which is what perfection's meant to be. It's about mastery, about refinement, about, that experience of growth and evolution to get to that point. It wasn't meant to be that it was this one pinpoint thing that is the ideal or the idea of perfection. So Virgo approaches life through observation, refinement, and sacred service. And it's beautiful energy that we have in the world with Virgo energy, especially when we're identifying with it correctly. We have the rising in Libra, which enters the world with diplomacy, grace, and relational awareness. They approach life through harmony, elegance, and fairness. Rising in Scorpio enters the world with depth, intensity, and magnetic presence, approaches life through truth, perception, vulnerability, and power. Rising in Ophiuchus enters the world with serpent fire awareness and alchemical presence, approaches life through transformation, healing, and multidimensional insight. Rising in Sagittarius enters the world with openness, freedom, and visionary thinking, approaches life through exploration, truth-seeking, and expansion. Rising in Capricorn enters the world with focus, strength, and purposeful structure, approaches life through responsibility, integrity, and long-range vision. Rising in Aquarius enters the world with originality, innovation, and humanitarian perspective, approaches life through unity consciousness, reform, and unconventional insight. Rising in Pisces enters the world with compassion, softness, imagination, and mystic sensitivity, approaches life through intuition, surrender, and spiritual awareness. So, the rising sign is the energetic doorway the soul uses to enter each moment. It is the most immediate expression, shaping how the world experiences them. It changes every 1 to 2 hours, so it is also the gate of daily weather and the core of the daily triad. The rising plus your moon creates the body's interface with the world. The rising plus the sun reveals the identity projected outward. So there's your information on the rising sign. And maybe tomorrow I'll talk about the moon. This is all stuff I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be teaching in a lot more depth, though, not just these points, but a lot of it, how it comes together, how to read your charts, and stuff like that. That will be being done in March 20th. Okay, so let's look at our embodiment stuff for today, because that's what we are, is in the age of embodiment. All right, so we've got recalibration, discernment, and the Virgo Quarter Moon, which is tomorrow. I mean, if I couldn't, I think I would have to go to the doctor and get checked out, because there'd probably be something wrong with me. So we are entering a very specific energetic window today. The moon is finishing its journey through Leo and will enter Virgo tomorrow for the third quarter. This is the shift from expression to refinement, from heart fire to clarity, from activation to alignment, because that's the difference between Leo energy and Virgo energy. This is where things begin to make sense. Virgo's keen with they're very keen discernment, right? So this is their very embodied energy. So it helps to discern things. So why does this week feel different? We're now at approximately 1 week since the full moon passed. The emotional peak of that energy is gone. And the insights from the energy and what came up, what transpired, have landed now. And now we enter into that sorting phase. The last 7 days revealed the truth. The next 7 days is about integrating it. So whatever came up, now you get to integrate it. Hello, Salasia. How are you, love? The sun in Ophiuchus is the truth frequency. So this is the strongest truth teacher in the sky. And it reveals where we are ready to rise. It exposes where we have held ourselves back. It shows the difference between the identity you have lived inside and the identity your oversoul is calling you into. Ophiuchus does not demand drastic change or dramatic change. It just demands integrity. And that's what the core of embodiment is. Are you standing on your word? If you know red dye is, terrible, I don't know. That's a very narrow one. But we could go with food though, right? Even if we said red dye, if you know red dye is bad for you and you continue to eat it, then you're creating chaos inside yourself, because You logically know you're ingesting something that's bad for you, that's poisonous for you. And if you feel guilt or shame about eating it, then you've done worse for yourself than anything. If you're going to engage in those types of things, at least love the thing you're doing. At least get right with yourself and say, I'm okay with eating it occasionally, but I want to limit my exposure to it. So it's not something I'm going to ingest all the time, but I'm going to have it occasionally. And when I do have it on those occasions, I'm going to be joyful while I'm doing it. I'm going to embody a positive, healthy mood while I'm eating, because the energy that you're in while you're eating your meal is so important, because the food is gathering that energy and you're ingesting it, right? So never eat angry. Never eat food when you're angry. So the moon shifting from Leo into Virgo, Leo is saying, show your heart. And Virgo says, but choose with clarity. We can show our heart, but not always. Leo stirs the desire to express yourself, and Virgo goes, well, we don't have to express everything. Like, we can dial it back a little bit. We can tweak it here, you know, like this is more refined or more in alignment. Leo activates the identity and Virgo strengthens it. It says, yeah, you were headed in the right direction. Great idea. We are a marathon runner at our core. Absolutely. We should sign up for a marathon. Absolutely. But now I'm going to refine it, because I'm Virgo, and Virgo's going to tell you, you need this plan in order to get yourself ready for a marathon in this amount of timeline. So Leo energy, that the heart energy, that radiant expression says, I'm a marathon runner. I'm going to run a marathon, and signs you up. And like I said, then Virgo comes in and says, okay, great. You think we're a marathon runner. Let's refine this. We've got work to do. So Leo opens you up and Virgo stabilizes you. Okay. That's the energy between those two. So today is the bridge between openness and refinement, because we're still in that Leo energy until tomorrow's third quarter. So the third quarter moon in Virgo is the correction gate. So this is that point where we get to correct things. It's not punishment. It's not collapse. It's just correction. So just asking you, what is the truth that revealed itself last week? What needs to be adjusted today? What should be released or reorganized before the new moon next week on the 19th? What actions are aligned? What choices are not aligned? What energy needs to be grounded, right? We're just asking ourselves questions and revealing the answers to those questions, right? It's not emotional work. It's discernment work. That's all we're doing. Like, we're sorting and cataloging. Okay, that's good. That's not. That's in alignment. That's not. That can, be put aside for later, stuff like that. So your oversoul embodiment during this gate, what ends up happening is when we're under the Virgo energy, the oversoul speaks very clearly, because Virgo is not about perfection. It's about honesty, integrity. And the oversoul guidance right now sounds more like, I can no longer tolerate this. I am ready for this. I'm done with that pattern. This is what aligns with my next chapter. This is what drains me. This is what strengthens me. That's the way that your Virgo energy, like the Virgo energy, is going to have you, looking at things and guiding your life so that you can refine it, right? So these are not emotional statements, though. These are truth statements. So it's just a matter of being honest with yourself when you're asking and what you're choosing. All right, so we've got to check in on our ego again, because when we're going through these embodiment things, our ego, what's it doing? Well, what the ego does right now is it's like, can we negotiate this? Can we change a little bit? Virgo moon, we need full alignment. Ego, maybe next week. Oversoul, no. This week is the foundation. Ego, I do not enjoy this. Ophiuchus sun, growth rarely feels comfortable. And that's how the energies are working on you this week. So we have a new moon in Sagittarius occurring on December 19th. And this is an expansion gate. It brings vision, direction, purpose, movement, and the next version of your life path. But Sagittarius doesn't want to build on chaos, right? It wants to build on clarity, which is why Virgo comes before Sagittarius. So we get the clarity and the refinement of Virgo. We'll go through a bit of a deep dive in purging with Scorpio. We'll resurrect through Ophiuchus, and then we're at Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is like, let's go. Now we're clear, we're focused, we've got rid of all that stuff that doesn't align. We are refined, let's go. So it's very purpose-filled direction and clear. The Virgo Quarter Moon is the clearing, and Sagittarius is the ignition. All right, want to do practice? You know me, I like to make you do practices. So let's practice. We're going to place one hand on our heart, and we're going to take a breath. You can put both your hands there if you'd like. I do. I'm going to put both my hands here, and I'm just going to take a nice breath. And out. And in. And out. And one last time, in and out. Now stay in that space and just ask yourself these questions. What truth from last week is still with me? What needs to be refined? What needs to be released? What needs to be simplified? What needs my attention? Okay. So just let the answers be simple. Virgo does not complicate, Ophiuchus does not lie, and your oversoul does not waver. So when people work with me, they do not just gain awareness, they gain clarity, discernment, inner stability, and alignment with their oversouls. They also gain the ability to reorganize their life from truth. I do not teach overwhelm, I teach coherence. And that's why people come back. That's why people come back. This is why people trust my field. It brings them back to themselves. Because that's all I'm teaching you is to remember. Remember who you are. That's your thing. And aligning with you and your truth and how you're meant to live, which may be similar to mine, but would not be exact because I'm expressing differently than you are, right? Through this embodiment is different than your embodiment. So let today be a day of clarity without judgment, of refinement without pressure, of truth without fear, because you're not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be aligned. And that just means integrity, right? If you don't think it's that bad, if you think it's absolutely perfect, like if you think if you're walking through the grocery store believing that everything that is in the grocery store is completely healthy for you, and you're eating that food and you're eating it with joy, that's a much better state than somebody who thinks that everything in the grocery store is toxic and poisonous and continues to ingest it, all the while feeling shame or guilt, right? If you're going to do it with love. If you're going to do it with joy. And if you're have those type of things where you maybe feel that certain foods are terrible for you, not aligned, whatever it is, then don't eat them. Don't eat them, or get to the point where you can at least be okay with eating it on occasion, and then eat it on occasion. And when you do, make sure that you're eating it in that right state of mind, right? It's the same thing. Like those things that, keep coming up for you, the patterns that keep coming up in your life, they're showing you where things are out of alignment or where there's an adjustment that needs to be made. So look at the patterns in your life and understand why they're there so that you can move beyond them. All righty. How was that? Did you enjoy that? I could do a couple of cards. Thank you for sticking around and watching. Good peeking on this. Rustic Wings. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. And I don't know what the other name is. Could be user 089.0. It could be that one. But anyway, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me today, with everybody that was here today. So with the sun in Ophiuchus and the moon in Leo approaching Virgo, Mars newly entering into Sagittarius, we stepped into the phase where truth becomes movement and clarity becomes fire. We explored today in the live about why Mars in Sagittarius is mission activating, how Ophiuchus continues to strip illusion and demand sacred alignment, why the Virgo Quarter Moon is not about perfection but correction, and how the moon's shift from Leo to Virgo is a transition from expression to discernment. We talked about the cognitive triad and checking your beliefs, choices, and mindset, the Krystic triad with Ophiuchus Sun, Leo Moon, and your ascendant to guide your embodiment, and a clarity-based embodiment practice to ask, 1, what truth still remains from the full moon? 2, what needs refinement before the next ignition? And 3, what am I holding that no longer aligns? We laughed at the ego's inner dialogue of the ego. Maybe we'll change a little bit. Virgo Moon, we need full alignment. Oversoul, no more waiting. Ophiuchus Sun, the path is clear. Walk it. Just do it. We anchored this knowing that the Sagittarius New Moon is coming, but it cannot be built on chaos. This is your week to clear, recalibrate, and become unwavering in your alignment. Let the day refine you, not judge you. And let your oversoul or higher self, however you want to, say it, let your oversoul be your compass. And that's it. And I thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. I'll be back tomorrow, approximately 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Depends if I have to run in town for anything, because sometimes going into town, you just get delayed. So I'm, and I try, but yeah, I always leave that. I also leave that sometimes you're just in a different state. You never know what's going to come up. So, and you have to go with some structure and some flow. It can't be all structure. It can't be all rigid, right? There has to be room for you to maneuver, but it can't be all flow, because if you're just all flow, you're probably not going to do the things that you need to do on a consistent basis, right? Because we need that devotion, the devotion to your highest frequency, right? That's what we're doing. All right. Well, I love you guys. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your, I love you guys. Hi, Amanda. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the comments on here. I appreciate you too, Warrior Girl. Thank you for following us, following me. Check in tomorrow. I'll do the collective check-in plus embodiment talk, because we are in the season of embodiment. Tomorrow is Thursday, December 11th. We don't have any transits besides the fact that tomorrow the moon goes into Virgo, and we also have the quarter moon. tomorrow. So we can look at that stuff tomorrow. And if you're looking for a reading, a true sidereal Krystic astrology reading, you can sign up for a free clarity call and we can talk about that, because I have a couple different versions that are available of that reading, and I don't have them advertised on the site yet. I still have to do that. I'm a one-woman show. I have 2 books that I'm in the process of getting ready to publish for the 21st of this month, and I've got courses and classes and of course content and all these in the daily lives and all of that stuff. So being a one person, sometimes things get, take a little bit longer to get completely done. So if you're looking for those readings, sign up for a free call or send me an email and I can send you information on it. My email's on my website. Classes that are coming up. Oh, geez, I almost forgot. I'm glad that I delayed a little bit with my conversation. Crazy. Okay, so in the Guardian, so I have many membership groups. I actually have 6 membership groups. The Temple of Light is free, and I post stuff in there all the time to help guide you. I also have a tiered group system where there's 3 groups that are in a tier. So if you get the lowest tier is the Ascension Gateway, the second tier is the Guardian Pathway, and the third tier is the Krystic Mastery Circle. So they each build on each other. And as you advance through the tiers, you keep the lower tier and everything that goes along with that. So with the Ascension Gateway, you get early access to the Truth Will Set You Free, Hidden Earth, and to any of the educational content that I would normally share to subscribed users on YouTube and that type of thing. So you get all of that because that's the subscription portal. So you get all of that stuff there. When you get to the Guardian Pathway, the level of information that you're getting changes, or the what you're given changes, but you also get 1 live per month, and it's an educational live. Or an activation of some sort or whatnot. And I do planetary or grid work, and we do that together within these groups as well. The Krystic Mastery Circle builds on that group, and so you get everything from those groups, including the live, and then you also get a new live because the Krystic Mastery Circle also gets a live per month that is either education, activation, planetary grid work, something along those lines. I have a very special one planned for January that's actually going to be a 3-day mini class that is absolutely free for the Krystic Mastery Circle. But what I did was I understand that a lot of people don't really want to be a part of a group. So if you want to just take the class or the session that I'm doing, I offer them as a one-off. So for $22.22, you could take most of the live classes that I'm going to be putting on. The one that I'm doing in January, because it's a 3-day mini class, that one's $44.44 Canadian. So it's a little bit more, but it's a 3-day class on Krystic wealth activation. So it's a really awesome class. So, okay, so going through the Guardian Pathway, we have the December transmission for the Guardian Pathway. And this one here is talking about the 13th gate, which is the gate of Ophiuchus. So that's the just information that you're getting for that. We also have coming up in, go back to my December. Okay, so we've got the scroll. We've got a field work ritual, which is the Ophiuchus column of light ritual. And we have the mini lesson, which is tracking distortion lines in real time. So that one is a practical lesson. It's beautiful. And then we also have a Oversoul alignment. So this is a short message. So our live, or the lesson this month for December for the Guardian Pathway, is how Guardians track distortion lines in real time. Okay, so that's going to be, it's about discernment and stuff. In the Krystic Mastery Circle, you will be getting walking as the living flame, sovereign mastery, and the 13th gate. So that's what the energy is. So the one thing that you're going to get is the solar sovereignty, right, which is going to drop later today, which is an embodiment protocol. Then we're going to be doing the deep teach, which is living divine laws. And then we have the light body / Merkaba expansion, which is the 13 petal solar Merkaba activation. So this is a smaller lesson. And then we also have the Christ Sophia roundtable message, and that's another message. So the lesson for us, this one is divine law of embodied authority, how mastery speaks through you. So that'll be the class in the Krystic Mastery Circle. In January, the Guardian Pathway is all about the arrow of truth, guardian vision, and mission precision. So our wisdom scroll is about Sagittarius and the path of the cosmic archer. The fieldwork ritual is the arrow of light grid strike. The mini lesson, and this is the one that will be offered to everybody else, is the energetic boundary architecture of the new year. So this is it's beautiful. Anyway. So, and then there's the Sunday Oversoul lesson, which is a channeled message. In January, you will get the Oversoul message, a light body practice, and a Chris Sophia roundtable. But that month, the offer is the 3-day mini session, mini class that I'm putting on. So a 3-day Krystic wealth activation class. So it'll be a 3-day class. Anyway, all that stuff is there. So that's all that's coming up. January 9th, Bridge to Light Phase 2. So if you're serious about embodiment, check that out. Bridge to Light Phase 1 is there if you are working on, working through your trauma, shadow work, having still, working through to the space of embodiment, right? So you're getting to that space of where you're now starting to, I want to live as I'm meant to live. So that's there. I also have in March the Krystic astrology class that's going to be starting, and that as well will be probably a 6-week course. So Bridge to Light is a 6-week course, and so is the Krystic astrology. So those are coming up, and like I said, I have a bunch of other things. But if you have any questions, the best thing to do is either send me an email or send me a message on social media, or sign up for a free clarity call. And when you do the free clarity call, I love it because that means I get to see you. I get to talk to you instead of you just seeing me. So that's awesome. But yeah, just look at the stuff. Look at Anshara'El, check it out, see what is all there. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. It was just 1-2-1-2 on the time there. But yeah, that's it. I love you. And join me tomorrow at about 1 p.m. Mountain Time when I go live again. And we'll talk about the celestial alignment and embodiment and all that good stuff. And we'll also do something for the third quarter. For the third quarter, we'll do a little activity for it. All right. I love you guys. There'll be a companion post that kind of supports this live and whatnot. But thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for all the likes and everything else that you did while you were here. I appreciate it. I appreciate your engagement. How's that? I appreciate your attention, your awareness, your participation. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye, guys. Love you, Amanda. Love you, warrior girl.